WWE promote Money in the Bank at AEW Double or Nothing. Plus, we have a major update on an injured SmackDown star, and an Impact Wrestling title changes hands at an Indy event. It's all in the wrestling news right now. Cheeky little bit of business from WWE during AEW last night.
Quite cheeky. Very cheeky.
What did they do that's cheeky? Cheeky.
They decided to, well, obviously, they've got Money in the Bank coming up. It's one of their big shows, and it's just been relocated to Las Vegas. So they decided...
Well, it was always in Vegas, wasn't it? It was always just been relocated to a different arena.
Right. I thought it was in Allegiant, which is in the other coast.
Ah, maybe, yes.
Anyway, it's in Vegas.
Either way, it's in Vegas.
And they've decided to drive around the T-Mobile Arena with a big truck with Cody Rhodes' face on it. As you can see, hopefully by the image right there. It's Cody Rhodes' face with Money in the Bank and advertising when it's on. It's smart tactics. You're advertising one of your main shows, one of the big five, I guess, now, at your leading competitor with their former EVP on it.
This comes at a weird time for Money in the Bank, 'cause as you rightly said, it was set to be at the Allegiant, and that's been downgraded in terms of arena size. That's no dig to the MGM Grand. I'm sure you are a lovely venue, but it's been, the size of the arena's shrunk so they can presumably get it packed out.
Yeah.
And then there were comments made by CM Punk about that online. I'm not saying that encouraged it. I imagine this was something they had budgeted for a while.
I imagine so, yeah.
To have the Money in the Bank logo with, of all people,
I mean,
Cody.
if you're going to choose someone, of course you choose Cody Rhodes, and it's smart business. You're probably going to get a few people. I mean, we saw this because folk went, I'll post that online, which then gets more eyes on it.
Yeah.
Like, this is not just advertising to the folk at T-Mobile Arena. That is advertising to all of Twitter now.
I always remember a story, because I'm a bit of a radio geek. There was Metro Radio that bought a big billboard for near the Tyne Bridge around the time of the Great North Run, which is the big media event in the Northeast. And Real Radio, their competitors at the time, had a van had a truck with the Real Radio logo break down in front of it at the start of the Great North Run.
So that's what they should have. That's what they've done here.
Love it.
It's great tactics.
I love it. And if AEW do the same thing at Money in the Bank, then more power to all of you. Keep it. Keep bringing the noise. A lovely update to share on Big E. A hopeful update to share on Big E.
Yes,
isn't that right, sir?
It is indeed. Big E shared a photo on Instagram of himself out of his neck brace. Finally, the first time we've seen him without it since he suffered his broken neck on March the 11th. Last time we heard from Big E was at the start of the month. We revealed that his neck isn't healing as well as we would all hope, confirming that he would be wearing the neck brace for another 4 to 6 weeks to avoid fusion.
So he's ahead of schedule.
It is very ahead of schedule, considering he was saying 4 to 6 weeks at the start of the month. That's what, 3 weeks? That's pretty impressive. The man's got a strong neck.
He was using, in the photo, you also see that there's an Exogen ultrasound bone healing unit. So this is a machine that is designed to speed up the process of healing bones.
It's like some Harry Potter potion stuff right
there.
there.
Dark arts, isn't it?
That's cool. I mean, hopefully it gets him back in the ring soon. I think we are actually really missing his presence on SmackDown. I think notably when we saw the New Day being like, we've got a tag team partner. It was all like, it would just be Big E. It would be perfect for Big E to come back, but it's going to be a while yet. But hopefully this will speed it up, and it's nice to see some positive news about him. He's a very positive person.
Big fan of Big E. Big E is great. I'll tell you who else is great. The Great One. I was going to say... Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Dog the Bounty Hunter is
great.
He is great. He is great. Yeah.
No, we are talking about The Rock, and we potentially will see, relatively imminently, the arrival of a 4th generation WWE star. We're talking
Pebble.
The Pebble.
It's not the Pebble, but
who is the Pebble though, Fraser?
So it is, of course, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and Danny Garcia's daughter Simone Johnson has changed her Twitter account name to Eva Rayne WWE, which suggests that she's going to be changing her name and not going by her family iconic name.
But the fact that she's doing it now, because the name was filed by WWE, I think about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
The fact that she's changing it now suggests that this debut, which has been on the card since 2020, is pretty imminent.
Yeah, she's been signed for a fair while now. Maybe she would fit quite well into NXT, especially with the fact that I'm not too worried that they're not calling her a Johnson, because you've got Solo Sikoa and they're referencing his family lineage. You've got Braun Breaker, of course. They've been very, very plain with the fact that he's a Steiner. He's just not going by the name. So perhaps Eva Rayne, they'll acknowledge, oh, it's The Rock's kid.
They'll acknowledge it, but while still having like a unique name for her.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a good way to do it in the fact that it allows her to kind of go out the shadow of her dad, because he's a big star. I don't know if you've heard of him. He is a big star. Maybe the Rock. He's a big
Ken
name.
Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock is her father. No, The Rock being her father is kind of a big boots to film, and perhaps having a new name that's different to what her dad was, that will be the way to do it and allow her to break the mold on NXT.
It might be the only time in history where you feel uncomfortable about not being called a massive Johnson. I tell you who's been acting like a massive Johnson.
Who's that, Tom?
Matt Cardona. Naughty boy.
Of course.
Matt Cardona possibly suffering an injury over the weekend. He was at GCW's Downward Spiral. He had a match with Blake Christian, which he won by a dubious means. And then he quote retweeted an angry tweet from Blake Christian saying, "I think I tore my bicep and I still finished the match and beat you." He then went on to say that he was unable to attend the post-show festivities, was Matt Cardona saying, "Gotta miss this after party. I messed up my arm at GCW. Need to get a red eye to Orlando to get it checked out." And now Cardona is like a champion for that. He's the NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
He's done stuff in GCW. He's obviously Impact that he's been there. He's kind of all over the scene at the moment. He's kind of everywhere. If you're an indie company, you've got Matt Cardona doing something interesting.
So it would be a shame for him to be off the radar for a little while, considering the amount of gold that he carries everywhere with him.
And he's been some of the most entertaining stuff in the independent scene recently. I think he has been the one singular person who's brought the most eyes on GCW particularly. People were really interested to see what he's been doing. So it is a shame that he's got an injury here. We never want to report on injuries.
No.
Hopefully we'll hear some news on how he's doing with that. But yeah, let's hope he gets better.
One belt potentially he may not be having with him for much longer, or doesn't have anymore, is the Digital Media Championship. Still hate the name of that belt.
It's not the best, is it?
We had a title change over the weekend at Pro Wrestling Revolver. Wrestling Revolver. And there's an asterisk against it. I'll tell you what went down. Rich Swann beat Matt Cardona in an Impact Digital Media title match on Saturday night. Rich Swann, the new Impact Wrestling Digital Media Champion, right?
Yeah.
Well, Cardona refused to relinquish the belt. He ended up leaving with the championship and is still online claiming to be the Digital Media Champion. Rich Swann is angry about it on Twitter. Cardona is apoplectic about it on Twitter.
Yeah, because he's still the rightful champion and he keeps the belt. It'll be interesting to see how they do this, considering they've changed the belt at an indie show. That doesn't really happen.
It does not happen. Now, obviously, it's changed to Rich Swann, who is an Impact Wrestling guy.
Yes.
So I would love to think that this is something that they play out on television as well. I think that's a nice idea.
I mean, the fact that it's a digital media championship and it can be defended anywhere. Obviously, it's just a nice way to go. It's the Internet Championship, but we're not going to call it the Internet Championship. Yeah, it would be nice to see them do something with this. Maybe this is where the route they go with the belt, where they go, okay, this can be defended kind of anywhere. It can change hands. You never know where they're going to turn up. If you see Rich Swann on a card, he might have the belt with him. He might lose it. You never know.
I do like the idea of like a belt that can do the rounds on indie shows and still be represented elsewhere.
It's like back in the old days with the NXT UK title, or WWE UK title, where it was like, oh, it can show up on your local indie, but not anymore.
Do you know what makes me really sad?
What's that,
is
Tom?
that you're talking about back in the day
Back
of the
in the
NXT,
day.
and you're talking about the NXT UK, and you're referring to it as back in the day.
I mean that in a. It's not back in day, is it?
I'm 39 in January, Fraser.
It's not back in day.
I've got grey in the beard now.
I'm sure I've got one.
No, you've not.
One singular. Grey.
Oh, yeah! This boy's asleep at the moment because he's been up all night covering Double or Nothing. So I'm awake. You know, I'm the only one in the office today. I think everyone else worked through the night.
I think so, but we will be keeping you updated with all news on Cultaholic.com because that's the best place to go for all your news.
I might have bugged off early because Adam's not around to tell me off. I won't. I bugged off early. Check if I bunked off early. More news throughout the day, as Fraser says at Cultaholic.com. Stay safe.
See you soon.
Curly whirly.